To start with, I would like to give you a little background on myself. 35 years old. This is my second attempt at college. The first attempt, I had a full ride to Louisiana Tech in Ruston, Louisiana. Graduated in 2001 from high school. 11 people in my senior class. So small pond, small fish. I went to Louisiana Tech for about 3 months and decided I absolutely hated it. I was scared to death, too far away from home, and really unsure of myself. So I left college and I went into the working world. It's probably the best thing I could have done. I learned a lot. I land surveyed. I went into oil and gas land survey. During which time I learned how to manage people. Starting in the field, I led from the lowest man on the totem pole. I worked my way up to the middleman, and then I was the guy running the crew. During that time, I learned what it took to lead from the field, to be the guy showing everybody what to do and how to do it. So that being said, during that time, it was leading the tough guy around. It was, hang with me. You've got to. If you can't hang with me, then I don't know what you're going to do. It really. I taught some, but at the same time, I expected them to roll with me, and that was it. It's a good way to do hard work, but it's not good leadership value. I learned a little more about that after working in the field, land surveying and training these guys. My former supervisor was getting ready to retire, and he saw a spark in me that I didn't see. A good leadership fit and role. He swore it was because I always got the job done, and that I would learn the rest as I went. And somewhere along the way, I did. It's kind of funny how that works. You start off as the guy getting it done no matter what, and then you become the guy that understands, okay, there are sometimes reasons it can't be done, and you have to understand, and you have to be empathetic to what's going on, especially when those guys are out in 105-degree weather, in a thicket, in a this and a that, and whatever the situation may be. There are situations that you have to adapt to. Little do I know, situational leadership and adaptation are things that we have to do every day in the leadership role. So that kind of puts us in perspective of the things that you learn in this class that you've applied somewhere in life but didn't know the words for it. With that being said, when I came into the class, I'd done the leadership thing, yes. I led. I didn't know the technical terms for a lot of what I was doing, but I was a leader, yeah. Taking how I started and where I am now, it's a heck of a difference. So we'll start with the issues in leadership. Now I know there are a lot of theories. I consider myself a transformational leader. I want everybody to progress, to grow into their own leader. I know there are some people that just want to come in and go to work. That being said, a lot of people that come in and just want to go to work, you can turn them into a guy that wants to go out and get the job done and lead by example. So with enough time and patience, you can easily do that. Data-driven decision making. With that, you go into statistical analysis. You make your calls based on the data you have at hand. I think that form of decision making is the best route to go. You're making a solid choice on what you know and what you have at hand. I learned a lot from that class. I learned a lot from the workbooks. I've kept a blank copy for myself for future use. I did that with a lot of what we've done to progress. So what I feel most important, other than the leadership theories, are the behaviors, ethics, and leadership classes. The ethics being the one thing that if you can't teach anybody anything else, teach them to be ethical, to be honest with what they're doing to the product, the service, the whatever they're doing. Teach them to do it with integrity. If you don't have that, you don't have anything. Even if you're not good at whatever you're doing, if you don't do it to the best of your ability, you're not being ethical. Same goes with behavior. If you're not acting in a professional manner, you're not leading really. When you want to be the example, there's a time to joke and play, but when it's business and when it's work, that's when you should be doing that. So your ethics ties back into that, and leading by example. You don't, as a supervisor, manager, leader, you don't show up and tell the guys, okay, get out there and get done. I'm going to catch a nap in the truck. You go out there and you get the job done. You understand when there are problems. You explain, you teach, you allow them to grow by teaching. That's the only way you're going to get anything done is allowing them to grow, but at the same time staying there with them, being consistent, being a teacher, being a role model, being whatever you may need to be for them that day. Some days you may need to be on under their thumb, making sure the project's getting done. Other days you may need to be their coach. You may need to be out on the sideline saying, "Oh, you got it, get it done. I understand. I know you got it. You can do it, man." I've been in all those situations. I've been lucky enough to be in. So that's I've taken what I've learned and applied it to past situations and understood that I could have done things a lot different at the same time. A lot of what I did was textbook transformational leadership. Thankfully, I never had to be the coercive leader, the leader that leads by fear and by threat. That never happened with me, and honestly, I feel that's not the most ethical way to be. You don't treat people as though they're objects that you can scare them into doing your bidding. It just doesn't work that way. It does work that way, and it can work that way for a while, but eventually they're going to get sick of it, and you're going to be done. Okay. So leadership theory, I've kind of been going back and forth leadership theory throughout all this. Practice for management of organizations, all that's fine and dandy. It's the theory and the different types of leaders. It's very interesting to see how that worked out and how going back to Capstone 1, how seeing what servant leadership was, and then when my nonprofit, she came out as just by the textbook example of servant leadership. She's there for her people. She wants her people to surpass her, even at the cost of slowing work down by creating these groups and these committees to make sure everything's okay. And once again, that's the nonprofit way, where they're not worried about getting it done. It's a caring way, yes, but from somebody who's been I worked forever in the commercial private sector, now working at TxDOT, and seeing that there are lots of people that believe in the get it done when it gets done, and let's do this, this, and this along the way. It kind of goes in the same aspect. I don't know if I would call most of the people I've met here servant leaders, but same ideals. So, going back to leading change, I've got a lot to say about that, or a lot of thoughts on it. Leading change can be looked at as one of 100 different things, but at the end of the day, when you're leading change, you're the person pitching this idea to set change up through your organization, through your team, through whatever it may be, the entire organization, or a 5-person team, or 10, or whatever. If it's a good idea and you've got good people behind you, then it's easy to get people to follow that change. If you're in an organization where change has never been good, everybody's going to be paranoid. That goes back to the oil and gas company I worked for. When a new president took over, it was about the time that I saw layoffs writing on the wall because it was slow. Oil and gas prices were down. Work was slow. People were barely getting their 40 hours a week, as they were used to getting 60 to 70. So when this new president came in, he wanted everybody to be very upfront and clear with them and state, our thoughts. And he wanted to write notes down about what we had to say and whatnot. And the way he tried to lead change doing all that, it just didn't work for him. There was no trust there. He came in as the new guy, and we were supposed to impress upon them the same change. So I did my due diligence, but at the same time, I was very leery of it because of my manager at the time. But on the other end of that same spectrum, when things changed in 2016, and I had to impress upon my guys that this new change was going to be a good one, there was more money for everybody, there was more of this, more of that, so the change wasn't as hard to swallow. So I guess what I'm saying, and it's once again textbook, if it's an easy change and it's good people, the change won't be hard. If it's a hard change, it's not acceptable, then there you go. It's just going to be that much harder to get everybody to believe in it. So, going to our capstone, I just touched on my nonprofit interviewee, my for-profit interviewee. She was a very transactional leader. She wasn't coercive, not really coercive. She was more just get it done, and that's how you move up here, as you get it done. All about progress, getting whatever the it is, whatever work, whatever they're doing, just continuing it. And progress is what drives everyone. If you don't have progress, you're not making the company any money. At the end of the day, every for-profit organization has to make money, otherwise they don't survive. So in their story, that's just the way it works. So your leadership theories are great, but you have to make sure that the people that follow you, you have to make sure that they want to follow you and want to be there. There are good followers, there are bad followers. There are good leaders and bad leaders as far as that goes. Then there are the guys that show up and they're not necessarily ever going to be a follower, and you can't do anything with that except get as much out of it as you can to be a productive employee. And if you can ever get them to buy into the organization, you can convert them to a leader. Capstone 2. Capstone 2 I did, let's see. Capstone 2 was a project, a personal project to me. because it involved a business I know very well, and the owner I know very well. The fact that we have to analyze the strengths, weaknesses, and whatnot, it was a good way to see that, and it was a good way, once I finished it, to show him what an outsider sees, and perhaps he doesn't see it himself. So those are things that were good about that. At the end of the day, this class taught me to be a better leader, to open my eyes to different styles of leadership. This degree, what I'm going to use it for is I'm going to use it to progress further. I'm going to work for a master's next. Honestly, the best job I ever had was as a manager, because I felt that I made a difference in my employees' lives. I pushed them to be the best employees they could be, and they have since furthered in their careers tremendously. And I can't say I had a whole lot to do with it, but I can say that each of them swears I did. So I just hope that's true, and I hope I continue to make that impression on people. Thank you very much for your time.